Working with kids can be rewarding. Every day is a new opportunity to see growth within your students and within yourself and how you make an impact on them. But it can also be very, very overwhelming when there's constant pressure of being an expert in everything. And then you also have the role of being a caregiver, a second parent, maybe, a nurse, and a teacher all at the same time while teaching a classroom. Tonight, I'm going to share the increasing problems that can be seen in the education system and why many new teachers are feeling overwhelmed post COVID age. I can relate to this topic since I am currently an after school tutor, and there have been many times where I just want to not continue working as a teacher due to a lack of support, the students themselves, or it just being overwhelming and too much to handle. I'm specifically going to go into depth about why teachers nowadays have constant burnout. I'm going to start by sharing how a student's mental health and home environment can affect their overall performance in life and in the classroom. And a student, unfortunately, cannot choose where they live, who their parents are. Maybe they can choose their friends, maybe not. But the most important thing is the home environment and the parents. And yeah, a student can't choose that. And if a student has abusive parents or or doesn't have the right financial needs, then it's gonna obviously show in the classroom. And this will lead to, unfortunately, a lot of underperformance, which the teacher will try to work with, but it's gonna be difficult. A student may only an example of this is that a student can is gonna share personal information about what is happening to them to their favorite teachers, right? But a teacher is also a mandated reporter, so that means they have to report everything that seems alarming. And if the student finds out, then the trust is obviously broken. And what's more overwhelming is if the teacher that reported it sees that nothing has happened, like an abusive parent, if nothing has happened to like change or anything, then the teacher will feel hopeless, and probably even guilt because now the those parents are gonna abuse the child more, and nothing was done to prevent more in the future. And depending on what a student is going through, they can show in many ways, such as grade underperformance or how they treat others at school, such as bullying, fighting, or other types of violence, maybe graffiti, which leaves the school faculty, mainly the teachers, to deal with that, especially in their own classrooms where it's more like they can cause more disturbance, pushing back the teaching and dealing more with the students' needs. Again, a student can't choose their life, but it can also affect the lives of many in the classroom. And falling on this matter is that every school in the US is different when it comes to resources, and there's no national curriculum, which makes it harder on to teach at a national scale. Schools that have a higher minority ratio tend to receive less funding, which includes things such as technology, material access, such as books or other basic needs, such as utilities, but also can lead to teachers being paid less, making them feel overwhelmed for the amount of work that they are doing with little pay. And sometimes even the teachers may have to provide from their own money just to meet the basic necessities of the classroom. But also with little pay, um, less people will be motivated to work within the education system. which would lead to larger class sizes, and unfortunately, teachers are going to have to deal with those class sizes, which can also lead to burnout. Finally, the mental health of an educator often overlooked. Yeah, most of the things that an educator can face can come from admin or the students. And if a student doesn't behave, then that will lead to another student not behaving, then another, causing a domino effect, which will be kind of uncontrollable. Then the teacher is often blamed. Yeah. Most of the time, it's not a fair judgment since the teachers report how a student can be behaving in the classroom setting, how it's affecting that classroom. But if nothing is done to prevent it, it leads to the teacher having to do it all by themselves. This is why there's often a large turnover of teachers due to lack of support and both coming from the parents and admin. But if teachers do get the help that they receive, then it generally creates a positive classroom environment, which can often lead to better results in test scores, academically, and in the student's life. In conclusion, there are many reasons on why the large turnover of teachers. Key areas can be the mental health of the students themselves, the mental health of the teachers, and lack of resources. The other thing that needs to be talked about is how, if the lack of resources is there and not having a set curriculum, that makes a teacher feel overwhelmed of what they can teach and not teach. And this leads to lower test scores, leading to unemployment or less pay. With unemployment or less pay, it leads to the next key point, which is mental health. All these factors can affect the mental health of a teacher, which makes them underperform due to lack of interest, of unfortunately not wanting to teach more. But always remember that teachers are human too, and at the end of the day, they don't have the problem to every solution. But if the community can come together, then it leads to better results. Thank you.